So basically, this is what happens. There's another version of Devil's Breath, right? You've already seen it in the third part, right? And this is what Norman Osborn does. He does an interview, and he makes sure it's public, and he tells all the details, and it's like this. This is Norman Osborn, one of the co-founders of Oscorp. You know us very well for our actions for creating what people like to call Devil's Breath. I will be explaining everything. First of all, Devil's Breath is an attempt at a cure. My kid Harry Osborn was diagnosed with a disease that I don't know what it's a new disease. We tried multiple times to cure it. We went to Europe, everywhere, but nothing would work. So I took matters into my own hands and tried creating my own cure. And in the beginning, it was a bioweapon, the worst one ever. Could end humanity if it got out. But over time and lots of money, we made it less destructive. And we were going to continue to do it until it would be a full-fledged cure for him. Right? So yeah. And the reason, that's why. And the reason it's a chemical, the reason it's solid, and you can open it the side up without it evaporating, is because if a chemical needed to be added, it could be put in that way. But then once the full thing was released, like it was broken open or was released, it would turn into a gas once exposed to oxygen. So yeah, that's I've covered a lot of stuff right there on the bed. Why didn't you try to guard it? Well, first of all, we did, and we did our best. The reason I hired Sable wasn't because of the villains. I knew Spider-Man could handle it. Thus, Sable Roxxon, the police force and our own security force, was there to help Spider-Man and to also try to distract the villains while we guard and fix this thing that we made, a cure. But it wasn't enough, and the villains somehow found about it. And we actually did hold our ground. When the Tombstone was attacking, we managed to get rid of all his villains and had gotten everybody out, resulting in one person being injured, and we had paid for their medical bills anyway. So, yeah. And we stopped the minions too. We had stopped the helicopter attacks, and we had also got all the information out of Tombstone and the minions, and had wiped all our data off, so in that way the villains gonna have an advantage. So yeah, we did a pretty good job trying to help Spider-Man, and we did our best trying to guard Devil's Breath. But it turns out that this guy, the Raven Hunter, wanted to make me suffer. The reason is because he was a military experiment. We had previously teamed up with Roxxon, Sable, and the military, and the FBI, and all of them, to try and make an ultimate weapon, just in case humanity needed it. And he was the ultimate weapon. He was a little kid. He was diagnosed with a disease that, now looking back, seems very similar to the one my son has. So we tried to cure him first. But instead what we did was that we made him immortal. Instead of curing him. But it was a bad decision. We should have tried to fix that, because sure, he wouldn't die, but every single moment of his life he would be in pain, knowing that there was no way to stop it. And then we tried over and over to cure him, and we couldn't do it, no matter how hard we tried. We got the best chemical experts, everything, nothing. So we just focused on making him the weapon we needed, and that's what we did. except that he went missing in a top secret military base. We were planning to send a satellite to space, and for some reason, someone broke in and had instead replaced the satellite with the Raven Hunter, and he was sent into space. We hadn't seen him until the year 2002, so he had been gone for like 90 years, and we had this technology undercover the whole time. But yeah, he re-arrived on Earth, and he was a lot stronger. We managed to get a piece of his armor, not through battling, but he just gave it to us, and it's completely invincible. We tried every weapon we have, and we even tried alien weapons, and they had no effect. We tried to measure his power, but the maximum number we could get was a quadrillion before the device would start to malfunction. We tried multiple devices, multiple versions, even alien tech fused with ours, and it would just start to break. We tried to see how fast his speed was. We tried to test him, but then eventually he stopped trying. His willingness to test with us dried out, so he fought back. And then he discovered a chemical. We had made something to keep memories in chemicals. So if somebody needed to figure out someone else's memory, they could just drink the chemical and figure it out or inject it. And he found his memory that was a backup. And he drank it and he remembered what happened. And then immediately he turned down on us. Instead of not wanting to be tested and running away, he fought back and it did a number on us. And then he was met with a different version of Spider-Man. This Spider-Man was getting old, His reaction times weren't as fast. So the Raven Hunter easily defeated him. And then this is what he said right before the Raven Hunter was about to kill him. Even if you kill me, even if you kill all of them, you know that you won't be able to bring your parents back. You might feel satisfaction, you might feel that you've accomplished something, but after a while it'll all vanish in a thin air, and you'll be left wondering why you even did it. So kill me, do it, but it won't bring your parents back. And then the Raven Hunter stopped. He stood still, pondering what he should do. And then the site was hit with a missile from an alien spaceship. The power went out, and we tried to get the Raven Hunter, but it seemed like he just disappeared into thin air. When we got the power back on, he was nowhere to be seen until the last dated incident of which we had spotted him, which was 2017 or 2017. We don't know if he forgot or if he's coming to peace with us, but he seems to be willing to help us, and it's really good that he's on our side, because we need more power to fight back against the incredible odds. Because after all, intelligence isn't earned, it's a gift. And we need that gift. And who better to get it from than someone who will kill, who better to get it from than someone who can do anything they put their mind to. So, the Raven Hunter, if you're listening to this, We're sorry upon what we have done. But do not try to do anything drastic, as even if you do anything, it'll end in your doomed fall. We have used our alien tech and we find this out. You eventually try to merge realities together. Try to destroy this one, trying to get back at us. To have the last laugh, as they say. But instead, something happened. You were cut from this timeline. You were the main source of this timeline almost being abandoned, being broken apart. So when you failed at doing it because you had second thoughts about how humanity has done good, you were immediately cut off from the timeline, ceased from existing. Any memories of you or any events related to you were immediately discarded. And all the realities upon which you are in, which is only one more, have already been completely destroyed. So if you continue the path that you will inevitably take, just so you know, even if you do succeed, you'll bring you and humanity down with you. And that's not what your parents would want. And then it cuts, and it's uploaded, and it's broadcasted everywhere. And then we see Raven Hunter in an abandoned building, looking through a broken window, seeing it on a billboard being displayed with loud sound. And he looks at his hand, and he has a locklet of his parents. Their faces are broken though. It's cracked, and he holds it, and you can see a single purple tear cross his face. That's the end. For him, he's in peace with everything. He finally decides what to do. He helps Spider-Man. He helps save the world. Right. He helps to do all that. He helps. And he's coming to peace with all the bad stuff Oscorp has done to him. And he accepts the apology. There's a part of him that wants to get back, but he knows deep down that it won't make his parents proud, and it won't bring them back. So he then again disappears into thin air. And to this day, after the whole thing, after Spider-Man A Turn in Time is done, they try to look for him again, and he's never to be found. We cut to the year 2079, and they're still looking for him. They can't find him. Spider-Man is gone, and his predecessor, Miles Morales, is barely there. He doesn't stop regular crime. He only jumps into action when something big is happening, like if the raft gets broken into or Rhino escapes. Other than that, Spider-Man's silent on the radio. Sable goes to Afghanistan to help fight against a different group of terrorists, which a small group, which have just popped out of thin air, and they've won. But at the same time, their major core has been destroyed. So all their bases have been airstriked, and the leader, the Sable, has also been killed. Roxxon's main leader was killed by Scorpion when a prison breakout was happening, and Miles Morales was late to help him. So he got killed. He got that poison injected to him, and he was rushed to the hospital. And Miles Morales made a cure, but it was too late, and he died. Harry eventually dies because of that. virus in him. Even with the advanced tech, Osborn couldn't save him, and he commits suicide as a result. And one of the last Tombstone minions hacks into the Tony Stark's web destruction program to airstrike any enemy base and airstrikes all the Oscorp stations. So Oscorp's in ruins too. The police force continues. They continue to stop regular old crime. And eventually the original villains are killed. Not by the Raven Hunter, not by Miles, but because of a explosion. Apparently, Yuri Watanabe, who was on a deathbed, had a final protocol where if she died, all of Spider-Man's villains would be hit with the most powerful airstrike, making sure that they would be killed, and that's what happens. Scorpion, Rhino, all of them die. They all die. So Miles gives up being Spider-Man because there's nothing left to fight for. The police have the ordinary crime handled. There's no more supervillains left. Oscorp, Roxxon, Sable have all been left in ruins with a tragic backstory which has been completely exposed to the world. So, yeah. That's the current state of the world. After all that, that's the ending you get. And it just shows that no matter what happens, bad stuff always happens anyways. You can be the most powerful version of Spider-Man, Cosmic Spider-Man, but you can't change your destiny. You just can't. So, in the end, everything's fine. People are safe, even without Spider-Man. And then we got a break-in alert. Apparently, one of Tombstone's minions had airstriked a homeless shelter. But everyone was evacuated because the police had managed to intercept the files to, for the orders to airstrike, and it evacuated everyone. And it was safe, and then the last Tombstone minions were killed. And then a new gang tried showed up, but they were quickly taken down by the police. And then all the gangs and every one of them realized, hey, maybe we should try again. What happens is a police officer goes undercover as one of them. And then he finds out where all their caches and all their weapons are. And then he sets them on fire and explodes them and all that. So now all the gangs, mafia, and crime have no money and they have no weapons either. So they're resorting, and they don't even have any pocket knives anymore. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything is this a happy ending? Is this a happy ending? It makes you wonder, was Spider-Man really needed?